request reply. Today we are going to discuss third type of MEP supported in WCF called duplex MEP, in which case or callback message action pattern, in which case the client can call the service as well as service can also call back the client. Now in the WCF, it is though it is supported, but it is not interoperable. It has not been standardized. So this is the feature. This feature is available in WCF only. So in case if you want to extend it for the general web services, this is not possible because this is not the standard like other WS standards. Here it is not standardized. So we have to, if you are using only .NET client and services, then only we can use it. So yeah, so that is the one difference. And there are cases in which case suppose it is event driven or something, when something happens we need to be, the client itself should be notified. In that case we can use this kind of callback operation in our service. Okay, so let me share my screen. If your application is a small application which works only with one database, it is okay. You can use screen framework for that. If your application is so big that it is working with so many databases for different purposes, still you can use screen framework and you can easily do it. So that is the point. So these are some of the features which makes this screen framework. Okay, hope that my slide is visible to you. Okay, thank you. So here you can see that once again we will have three projects: one for the service, second for the host, and third is the client. Right. And here right now we'll create this client and host both the application of the Windows Form type, right? Windows Form application. So here what we are going to do, first we'll create the service, then we'll create the host, and then we'll create the client. So you can see that first we'll create a new project, and yeah. Let us see that first we'll create the WCF service library template. Okay. And give the appropriate name. Now by default it will create the iService interface and iService1 interface and the implementing class service1. So either you can delete both of them and you can start from the scratch, or second way is you can rename it as per your requirement. So right now I have deleted both the interface and implementing class, but you can also rename it, and that will be reflected in the entire project. Wherever there is a reference of service1 or iService1, it will be automatically replaced with the new name. So it is recommended that in case in the Visual Studio, if you are changing the name of a variable or some class, you should rename it, and that should also be renamed for all the references wherever it appears. So fine, I am what I do right now, I delete both the interface and class, and then I start with a new interface. So I add a new item of type interface. I call it iService MEP. Now you can see that as usual we have an interface. Right now we have only one operation, hello. Okay, and it has been designated as one way because now the client will just say hello to the service, and it is not expecting anything in return. Once again, it has been usually annotated with the attribute service contract. But now you will see that this service contract has one property called callback contract, because now can anyone say why we are defining another interface? There are two interfaces we have defined. One is annotated with the service contract, another is not annotated with the service contract. One interface with the attribute service contract, other is not annotated with the service contract. So from the name and operation name, you can infer it, I think. What is the purpose of the second interface? Okay, correct. First one is for only one-way communication. But second interface is, what is the purpose of second interface? So first interface is our usual interface because that interface provides the service contract with one or more operations that will be invoked by the client. Okay. Yeah. Second interface is for calling the client. Okay. Responding to the client. Right. So in callback, see that in callback, the service can also invoke the operations that are available on the client side, which is unusual. Okay. Normally, we do not have this scenario. It's a special case in callback contract, or here when we are using callback, the client, the service can also invoke the operations available on the client. So which operations? Those operations are defined over here by this interface. Is it clear why there are two interfaces? First interface, which is annotated with the service contract, is meant for the client to invoke all the operation on the service side. And second interface is for all the operations which are available on the client side and supposed to be or assumed to be invoked by the service. Okay, like we have discussed in earlier that when we use the duplex communication, the role inversion take place. The client will become service and service will act as a client. Okay, good question. Should it be automatically invoked? What do you think? You can think other way, like suppose this operation hello, will it be automatically invoked? No, it is the client. We program the client. We write down this hello method invocation in the client. Similarly, this hello back will not be automatically invoked. Only when we write it, then only it will be invoked. But the difference between this hello and hello back is hello will be executed by the service and hello back is executed by the client. Is it clear now? This is the important part. Once you understand it, then the rest of the code is easy because this is the crucial part. I'm expecting that the service will also say hello back to the client. Okay, so what I wish to do, that client can invoke hello operation, and the service will say hello back to the client, and at that time it will pass its name. Okay, say service name, whatever some name is passed as the parameter, as the argument to the hello back. So basically it will send this name of the service to the client. So is it clear? Hello will be invoked by the client. Hello back will be invoked by the service. So during the execution of the hello, the service will invoke hello back. And remember, this hello back will be executed on the client side, not on the service side. But the execution of the hello will be done on the service side. Okay, so here I'll tell you this is okay. Let me write down this. This should be executed on the service side, and this will be executed on the client side. Okay, the execution should be done on the service side. It is service contract, and this interface is meant for the client must implement this hello back. And once again, you should there should be operation contract. Okay, operation contract should be there. We cannot remove it, right? Okay, now we'll create a class that will implement the interface iService MEP. So it will insert some delay. So see that this is the service side. We have this hello. Okay, and you can see that this we insert some delay, set some name of the service, and now we have to invoke this hello back operation. So during the execution of the hello, we are invoking hello back to the client. So this hello back is on the client side, and this basically this string is passed. The name is passed to the client. Now see that in a duplex communication, we require the callback to the client. So we use this class operation context, and there could be multiple operation context, or there may be multiple operation context out of that current context, because this might be communicating with the multiple client. So right now we are talking about the current client, and there is also this method called get callback channel. Through that we can get the reference to the callback channel on which we can make a communication, establish the communication with the client. Okay, through this method we can establish the communication with the client, which see that with the interface iService callback. Okay, in the previous slide you will see that there are two interfaces. One is iService MEP, and second one is iService callback. Okay, so we explicitly specify that now this on this channel we are talking with the contract iService callback. So this was not present so far. Okay, because this was not present, we never call back to the client. Always the execution should take place on the service side, and it should return some value. Okay, right now it is void, but it could be some value, so return value something from the service. But now this is a new scenario in which the service will itself will talk to the client by invoking this another operation hello back. For simplicity, there is only one operation, so it is very simple. We can go back to the here. There is a client and there is a service. Okay, client will say hello, and service will invoke the operation hello back. Okay, so is it clear what's going on? This scenario, hello will be implemented by the service, and hello back should be implemented by the client. And we require a reference to the callback channel, so we use that class. Okay, so we are using this class operation context get callback channel to get the reference to the channel, and then invoke the operation on hello back on the client side. We build the service app. Okay, we build the solution. Now, like I told you, either you run, you create a new Visual Studio, or you can create the host and the client in the same solution. Okay, so it is up to you which approach you use. And again, if you want to enable this port number, so either use the command netsh, or you can run as an admin to prevent the firewall for running the host application. So I run the Visual Studio instance as an admin to avoid that. Once again, right now I will create the Windows form based application. Okay, for hosting my service. This is the a form with the single label, and we'll change the label text with the service running once the service host has created the instance of the service. Okay, now two references are to be added. Which two references are to be added in the host? Correct, system.service model, and second reference, service DLL. Correct, correct. Okay, fine. So now all of you are familiar with these steps. I think all these steps are now remembered, mugged up, right? Uh, okay, there is a question. Hello back only called in hello, not directly by client. So see the difference, Ronak. Hello will be invoked by the client, and hello back will be invoked by the service. So suppose let me go to the see that yeah. Yeah, so this is the here you can see hello will be invoked by the client, and hello back will be invoked by the service. See the direction of invocation. So hello should be implemented by the service, and hello back should be implemented by the client. Okay, and hello back is also defined in service, right? Yes, because which operations to invoke, how the service will know. Suppose the client is exposing some interface, but there is no knowledge of that interface or operations to the service, and that's why we define that interface inside the service, not inside the client. And again, like I told you, this is not the standard. So the working of this callback will work within this .NET or between the WCF service and this .NET client only. Okay, you cannot have any other client. It is not interoperable. Correct. Exactly. Now you understood it correctly. The client must provide the implementation of hello back. Correct. Because now the client has become service. Okay. Temporarily, client will act as a service, and service is acting as a client. So that's what the tables are turned. The roles are changed now. So this is something like for notification purpose or invoking something on the client side. You might have something like in event handling that you'll see that many time in asynchronous operation, what happens? We are invoking the operation and the execution forwards. Okay, it proceeds to the next set of statements. But once that asynchronous operation is over, we need to continue. We need to execute some callback function. So here similarly, here that will be done by the service, that it might execute some callback function that is available on the client. Okay, that this operation is finished. Now you continue with this, something like that. So special cases for duplex communication. Okay. So we add the service system.service model, and we add the reference to the service DLL file, right? So this DLL file is created normally in the bin debug folder of the project. Bin slash bin slash debug folder of the project. Now we'll define the endpoints. I think are this, can we zoom in? Let me check. So here we define one endpoint. Now you see the binding type. Okay, the usual binding type doesn't support the duplex communication. That is basic HTTP binding, WS HTTP binding. Those bindings doesn't support duplex communication. As you know, HTTP protocol itself is a stateless protocol. Okay, once you invoke the operation, it will forget about the previous invocation of the call. Okay, so both this basic HTTP binding and WS HTTP binding doesn't support duplex communication. So we are using a special binding available in WCF, which is WS dual HTTP binding. Okay, as you can see, WS dual HTTP binding, which provides full duplex communication through two separate channels. And in addition to this WS dual HTTP binding, there are two more binding: net TCP binding and net name pipe binding. Both supports duplex communication. The only difference between them is TCP binding is full duplex; it provides two channels, and name pipe binding is half duplex. Means on the same channel, the communication take place, but at a time only in one direction. That's why it is called half duplex. And we have provided base addresses for the our business endpoint or communication endpoint, as well as to download the metadata. Rest of the thing is we already know. Is it clear? What is the purpose of this binding and why the binding doesn't work? HTTP, basic HTTP binding or WS HTTP binding. HTTP itself is a stateless protocol, so it will not allow you to be communicated from client to service and back from service to client, because it forgets. Once it transmits the message, the session is over. Okay. So right now we are using only the WS dual HTTP binding. So there is one communication endpoint, and through the HTTP protocol, we can download the visual file. So in the form load event, we create the instance of the service host, and at that time we provide the uh, type of service class, which is implementing our interface iService MEP. Okay, so this is the service class MEP type of this, and because this endpoints base addresses are all are defined in the app.config file, so it will automatically get this information from the uh, configuration file. We create the instance of the service host, and then it will automatically create the instance of the service, and it will wait for the request from the client, and then we change the label text to that service is running. Once the form is closed, we can close the service host instance. So when we close the service host instance, it will automatically close the any service, and if the service is in uh, it is basically it is communicating with the client, so that operation will be over, and then it will uh, terminate the service. Okay, that's what happens during the execution of the close. Again, so this is the normal code. We build the host and we can run the host. So what you can do, you can to run the host, you can go to the solution explorer here. Okay, you can go to the, you can right click the host project name, and there is an option called this open folder in file explorer. Okay, and you go to the bin debug folder, and you go to the .exe file, application file. You can run that. So that is also the option in case if all the projects are created under the single solution. Okay, so this you can use it. And if you are getting this response that service is running, that means everything is fine. Otherwise, what you can do here also, you can put this code under the try catch block. Okay, you can put it in the try catch block, and here you can display the error message in case if something goes wrong over here. Okay, so once you get the service running, we create the client applications. We will use, once again we'll use the Windows form based client. So it is not mandatory to use the Windows form based application. You can also use the web application as the client. Here you need to create the endpoint on the client side that can be easily created by the add service reference option. So here you can have the add service reference option inside the client. You type in the base address and you click on go. Whatever the default name right now I have taken as it is, but otherwise you can also change it. It will find the service running and you can download the metadata. But remember that when you do this step, the service must be running. Okay, okay, it must be hosted on the host application. It must be running. If it is not running, this is it won't be able to find or download the metadata. It will not work. Okay, so this is the common mistake. And now the design, form design or UI is very simple. We have one button with the call duplex. So as an implementation of this duplex, what we do, we call hello. Okay. So this hello will be executed on the client, on the service side. Okay. So suppose there is a service. So this is the service. Okay. This will be go to the service. Hello will be executed over here. Inside the implementation of hello, we are calling hello back. So it will also call the hello back. Sorry. So here we must provide hello back execute. Okay. And this hello back, the client will execute the hello back. The execution of the hello will take place. So hello should be implemented on the service side, and it is already we have implemented. And within the hello, we are calling hello back. So let's go back to the implementation just to see what we have done in the implementation of the hello. What we have done here, we are simply defining a string called WCF. We are passing as the argument to the hello back. Okay, so and we are adding some delay. Okay, using thread.slip. Okay, it is 50 millisecond delay. We are adding a delay of 50 millisecond. So you can see that here this WCF message will be passed as the parameter to you can see that it will be, yeah. So as a parameter to this, we'll get this name of the service. It would be WCF. And basically, by getting this, we will be updating the labels text. Okay, this dot text equal to whatever we are receiving. Okay, this WCF. So hope that the flow is clear. So as the click event handler of the duplex button, we should call hello, create the get the proxy object, client proxy object, through that invoke the hello. And secondly, we should also provide the implementation hello back, and that should be invoked by the service. So we are not executing directly hello back. It will be indirectly invoked by the service. So see that if you code, it will be you will get confused. But if you understand the concept, it will become easier to understand the code. And the code, I have tried to write the code as simple as possible. Okay. Mm. I hope that the font sizes are readable enough. If not, just let me know. So I may try to increase the font size. I need to again reset the screen in that case. Is it readable? The code in the slide. If anyone finds any difficulty, just write it down in the chat box. So I can try to reshare my screen by increasing the font size. Currently, it is not allowing me to do so. In the sharing mode, I cannot I cannot zoom in. I don't know. Okay, so here you can see that we need to provide these. We are now, there is a difference. Okay, so see that we have provided the implementation of hello bake. Labels text is set to the name, whatever that will be WCF. That will be by the service. Okay, that will be done by the service. Okay, so now basically we need to call client.hello, but this client is created as usual. We create this proxy object, service MEP client, our service reference. What is the name that we have given? Okay, this is the name that we have given while we add service reference. We create an object of this, but now see that as the parameter we need to pass the instance of instant context object. So far we have not done this. The reason is now the client can also act as a service. So we create this class ourselves and provide this as the parameter. This means the current application, the current class. The current class is form1. Okay. Okay. So basically what we are doing, that we create a instance of the instance context class, and we pass it as the parameter to this client constructor parameter. And then we invoke the hello operation. So this hello operation will be hello operation. This is the hello operation. And on the service side, it will also invoke the hello back. Okay, so it will invoke the hello back. Let us talk about the Spring container service. So Spring is a framework containers. It is IOC, inversion of containers. This is what we require to establish the communication from client to service. At that time, pass this instance of itself. Previously, we don't require it. We pass the name of the endpoint. Okay, name of the endpoint to which we are talking. But right now, For the callback contract, we are passing the instance of the instance context class. So basically, this class refers to the instance of the service. This class refers to the instance of the service. So it is automatically created in the when we pass the service name. Okay, when we pass the service name, it will automatically create it. But for the duplex operation, we have to create it ourselves. So that's it. That will be the implementation of the hello, and basically not the implementation of hello. We are invoking hello, and the hello function on running on the service side, it will invoke the hello back, and we are getting this something like say hey. If you say hi, we are getting say hello, this kind of thing. So there is a duplex communication between client and the service. Usually it can be a kind of notification back to the client, and in some of the situation this callback communication can be used. So now we run this client and make sure that while you are running the client, the host is also running. And then if you click on duplex, we get this string Windows Communication Foundations, right? So I hope that this is clear. Any questions so far? Any, if you wish to, I think I left something in any of the slide during the discussion. Java is again very much a simple Java class, but there are few rules that you need to follow so that it can be considered as Java class. So these all variables that it has. Yeah, okay. In this slide, I just forgot to discuss this part. Nobody asked. Okay, so let me. Something I forgot to. So far, we have not done this. Service behavior. For the implementing class that will implement the interface or interface, this attribute we have not used. The service behavior attribute with one property called concurrency mode. Okay, this concurrency mode property refers to the how many threads to be created on the service side. Okay, so this property has three values. One is single, then second value is multiple, and third one is this re-entrant. Okay, so whether we want to create the single instance of the service, or if I wish to create the multiple instances of the service, and when we set it either as a multiple or re-entrant, that means the callback would be possible. Otherwise, what happens, if there is only single thread, then that thread will be locked automatically. While so let me draw the diagram, it will become more clear. This is the service instance, this is the client. So when the client invokes the service, a new instance will be created on the host. If another, so it depends upon what is the concurrency mode. Okay, if the concurrency mode is single, then only one thread is there. Okay, only one thread is there. And now while it is in execution, it callbacks it. While it is doing the callback, at that time the thread is locked. Okay, whatever the current thread is locked, and this is not possible. This is not possible because it is locked. So therefore this concurrency mode should be either multiple or re-entrant for callback to work. Okay, anyway, we will have a separate lecture on this, specifically setting up concurrency mode, how many threads to create on the service side, and it will require more explanation. But right now you go with the re-entrant, and then it should work. Your application should work. But later on, we'll see that we'll study this in more detail. This concurrency mode. I think. Okay, fine. So we'll stop. I will stop this because I don't want to start with the next lecture right now. We'll start with the new topic in the next lecture, and you can try this example, right? Because see that we do not have enough lab to practice each and every example that we cover in the class. So I recommend that you do on your own. Each application you try it out yourself, so you will get better idea about each and every concept. And also you study, you can refer to the official documentation, which is very good documentation of the WCF Microsoft documentation. So you can visit the official website of Microsoft, wherein you will get the more information about these concepts. There you will find all the concept explained in more detail. Due to the time limitation, we cannot cover more example or more theory, but I will recommend that you go through the official documentation or some reference book which are available in the which are listed in the syllabus, textbooks and reference books listed in the syllabus. Whichever you find comfortable, or you whichever you prefer, you can use that reference to understand this concept in more detail. But the idea is these are tried and tested program. I have also tried this on the new Visual Studio, and some of the errors in the new Visual Studio version, I tried to keep it in the common doc that I have shared with you in the Google Classroom. You'll see the link to the that document in the Google Classroom. So there you will find out the common errors. Some guidelines will also be there, and some common error and solutions are there. So any other doubt you can ask right now. If you are getting any error in, so we have still 10 minutes time. You can ask. Otherwise, all these programs are as simple as possible. So I don't think it will take half an hour to 45 minutes to implement this. So in the example, as you have seen, bare minimum code is written to illustrate the concept. And you can also reduce it by yourself if you want to still want to reduce the code. I think in this application, there was less code, only one hello function and hello back. So if anyone wish to discuss anything, if you are getting any error while running this any of the project, any of the applications which are available in the lecture slide, you can just ask me. We can utilize that time. Or any other questions from the earlier lecture also you can ask. No issue. But then I assign it to the coach that I can have some liberty and I can use any kind of course of it. Can be baseball or it can be any other. Other than language. Anyway, I can use it. And then I simply call the course of get ready. So according to this object, I will get my information. Okay, fine. So if you have no questions, I will stop this today's session.